Another fight added to the UFC 296 card in December is indeed Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. And I was kind of dreading this eventually because I thought this fight was potentially going to happen. Like, a lot of things were on the table for Paddy Pimblett and Tony Ferguson. I was like, man, they might be setting up a Paddy Pimblett fight because let's be real, this is the highest level name that Paddy Pimblett can fight with the easiest matchup he can get. So I am really worried about Tony Ferguson in this matchup. He has gone on a very, very long loss streak recently. I think it's what, seven fight lose streak. Let's see. Yeah, 6. Oh my goodness. In his last fight, he got submitted by Bobby Green. Before then, he lost to Nate Diaz by submission on a pretty late notice fight that turned into a main event or whatever. Michael Chandler, he got KO'd brutally. Beneil Dariush lost that one by decision. Lost against Charles Oliveira by decision. Paddy Pimblett's last fight was a win over Jared Gordon, which really isn't a win. I believe he has been out for a while due to like foot surgery or something like that. He was injured in like the first round of that fight. So still a very rough performance in that fight, but there's a little bit of an excuse. He kind of has to put on a really good performance to at least get some people decently intrigued with him here. It is going to be depressing if he does put on a good performance against Tony Ferguson, but I mean, beat Jordan Levitt, beat Luigi Vendramini, who I don't think is in the UFC anymore. And yeah, he made his debut against Luigi Vendramini. So this is going to be an early prediction breakdown. I guess I kind of just skipped right through the video real quick, but for this one, I am going to go with Paddy Pimblett, sadly. Tony Ferguson does have a pretty real chance to win this one, but Tony Ferguson is just falling off pretty badly. Like, it's getting really rough now. I don't know what Tony's going to do after this fight. I mean, even if he wins, I still think he should retire. But again, Tony Ferguson has been putting out some decent moments in some of these fights, like the Bobby Green fight and the Michael Chandler fight in the first round. He rocked both of them, I believe, either knocked him off balance or knocked him down or whatever you want to call it, both in the first round, I believe. I believe the Tony Ferguson Bobby Green one was in the first round. And Bobby Green got up and then ended up getting eye poked. Ferguson ended up getting eye poked in that matchup, and then it kind of just turned away from there. But Ferguson has had some moments. He still kind of has that power in his hands. He will be, 11 years older. So by the time this fight happens, Tony Ferguson will be 40 years old and Paddy Pimblett will be 29. So Tony Ferguson's going to be way older than Paddy Pimblett when this fight happens. He will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. But the thing with Tony Ferguson's last fight is he got taken down by Bobby Green. And although I do think Bobby Green is pretty underrated on the ground, Paddy Pimblett does most of his work on the ground. He's a wrestler, although he does like the stand up a little bit more, do some of the stand up striking and everything like that. Paddy Pimblett is a grappler. You saw what he kind of did to Jordan Levitt, who's a decent wrestler himself. I know we're talking about Jordan Levitt, the dude that twerks all over the place, and you can't really take him too seriously sometimes, but he's a pretty solid wrestler. And Paddy Pimblett, although I don't want to say struggled, but it was a very weird matchup early on, and then ended up getting the rear naked choke with like a pretty cool lock where he locked his arm in. Like he has some relatively high level grappling, Paddy Pimblett does, and I think he can possibly submit Tony Ferguson this match. I know Tony Ferguson is pretty tough, and maybe this one goes to a decision or something like that, but I can see Paddy Pimblett taking down Tony Ferguson and just submitting him on the ground. I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest here. I don't think he gets KO'd by Paddy Pimblett. If he couldn't get KO'd by Bobby Green, don't think that happens with Paddy Pimblett here, but who knows at this point in Tony Ferguson's career. He is, again, going on 40. So I am very worried about this matchup for Tony Ferguson, just for the fact that he might lose this one relatively badly. But Tony Ferguson, again, has that power in his hands a little bit. He is still showing some flashes a little bit more. He has those elbows that'll cut you open. He's still decent on the ground. It's not like it was, again, Bobby Green was able to submit him, I believe, with relative ease once he got on the ground too. So I think Paddy Pimblett will do really well on the ground here. This is going to be a little bit of a rebound fight for him. It'll be about a year by the time this fight happens since his last fight against Jared Gordon, where he won a crazy robbery decision. So I am going to go Paddy Pimblett by submission. If not, I can see it going to the decision, but if it is going to be a submission, I'll probably say like late second or maybe third round submission here. I don't see him finishing Tony Ferguson. I don't think I see Tony Ferguson finishing Paddy. He definitely could, like Luigi Vendramini, I believe, drop Paddy Pimblett. And even Jordan Levitt did solid on the feet. Jared Gordon, although that fight is a bad loss to have, Jared Gordon looked good against Bobby Green before getting like headbutted, and that match ended up being a no contest. So Drew Gordon hasn't looked absolutely horrible, but it's still a win that you probably should get, like legitly, not by robbery decision. So again, I'll go submission for Paddy Pimblett in this matchup. Not a fight I'm looking crazy toward too. Maybe just the fact that I don't know how it's going to go, and maybe if you want to root for Tony Ferguson in this one, but I'm just dreading the fact that he may lose this fight. So let me know what you guys think about this matchup down below. I guess I'm on Tapology, so I can show what the percentages are here. So Pimblett, 69% picked by Tapology, 58% by submission, 12% by KO. I don't think that happens. 23% by decision. 31% pick for Ferguson by Tapology, 32% by decision, 47% by TKO KO. That could definitely happen. He definitely could catch Paddy Pimblett early on in this fight, but I think as this fight goes on, I can just see Pimblett getting the submission. So again, let me know what you guys think about this fight down below in the comments. Who do you guys have winning? And I'll see you guys next time.